Ekep Nkwelle is a Cameroonian-American jazz vocalist taking the jazz world by storm. She is a graduate of the Duke Ellington School of Art, Howard University, and Juilliard. Her soulful and commanding voice has captivated jazz legends and secured her collaborations with some of the genre's greats. Now, for the first time, she will be performing at the annual Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra's Big Band Holidays. In anticipation for this performance, she sat down with The Observer to share her journey into the world of jazz. Thank you so much for joining me, Ekep. How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. I'm very excited to be here and discuss with you. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you're going to be in Davis next week and you have a show. We're excited to see you. Can you start by telling us a little bit what we can expect from the show?
Yes. So this will actually be maybe my third show, I think, in California in general. This was the first year that I performed in California at all. I performed at SF Jazz with my band and Kumbwa. And so I'm very excited to be returning under these outstanding circumstances with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, musically directed by Chris Crenshaw this year. And I'm also going to be joined by Robbie Lee, who is a vocalist who also went to Juilliard, the same as me. He was there, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years before I got there. And yeah, we're just going to be bringing in the holidays. We're going to be bringing it in. One of my favorite ways to bring it in is to talk about the birth of Jesus Christ and to talk about, Mary, but also bringing it in, talking about Santa Claus, talking about cheer and joy and snow and all of the things that you think about when you think about Christmas. I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite times of year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into a little bit of a bio about you. Can you tell us when you got into jazz, what inspired you to get into jazz, and just like why did you choose that genre over all the other genres?
Yeah, so my father, he used to listen to a lot of music, not only traditional and indigenous West African music, mainly Cameroonian music. My father used to play the log drum in like a community band that we had here in the States. But he used to listen to the Bee Gees. He used to listen to Kenny G. He used to listen to just anything. Jimmy Cliff, Bob Marley, ABBA, just like the list goes on and on. But then when I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts, I was studying classically. However, there was a jazz ensemble as well as a jazz big band. And when I heard the jazz big band playing, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do that. Then I heard Sarah Vaughan sing on YouTube live at Mr. Kelly's. And I was like, man, I need to be doing this. And that's kind of how things began to snowball. So it really was little nuggets that were like placed like very strategically and rightfully so in my earlier years that brought me to this place of ultimately choosing jazz music, choosing this style of music to present my voice. Because, yeah, I used to sing gospel in the choir and everything like that, but this was the style of music that I wanted to present my voice through.
Yeah, you mentioned attending Juilliard. You also attended Howard University. Okay, so 2 incredible schools. Just talk a little bit about how those 2 institutions really help you continue to craft your voice and just continue to be in this field and give this gift that you already have, right?
Yeah. My mom actually works at Howard University. And so I had just been immersed, being like born in DC and going to work with her all the time and just like seeing that environment, it felt like home. And so I felt like getting my undergraduate degree there was always supposed to happen and it felt right. It felt like it was no pun intended, a homecoming. And so I felt great there. I also loved being at an HBCU to learn more about this genre of Black American music. I was able to not only study the music, but study the history and culture that influenced and birthed this music from people that looked like me and people that looked like the presenters of this style of music. So that that ushered me into my time at Juilliard, feeling strong, feeling confident, feeling like nobody was teaching me about myself because I already knew. So I came there with that knowledge. And Juilliard, I always say, just presented a platform in my the 2 years getting my graduate degree. It presented a platform for me to be able to showcase, the knowledge that I learned from Howard University, that I learned at Duke Ellington School of the Arts. So New York just became my platform.
Beautiful. I guess I kind of want to know, going back to the holiday concert that you will be doing on December 3rd.
Yeah.
December 3rd. What do you hope audience take away from that concert?
I hope they take away, the spirit of the season. I think one thing that Robbie and I share is our love for people. When we are performing, we want people to connect, not just to the music, but to us. Like at the end of the day, we are a medium through which this music is going through. And so we want people to be able to connect to our joy for the season, to the spirit of the season, for our love for other people. I think, Christmas, I like presents. I love gifts, but I love family. I love community. There's so many other things that surround this season. And that's what I think is the importance of this concert, of sharing with community, of giving love and giving back to the communities, honestly, around the nation. I know we're not able to go to every state, but the ones that we do go to, I really do want them to take away from the performance just our joy and love in being in community. I don't really believe in Santa Claus, but I believe in giving. So I'm going to give love this Christmas.
I think we're all past the age where we believe in Santa Claus.
Look, so we hold on for dear life.
That's beautiful. I'm really excited to see you and witness you in person. Talk to me, for some of us who don't know jazz like that, we're not singers. Talk to me about what your preparation for a show is like.
Ooh, that's a good question. So what I have been doing is practicing so much. It's a little bit hard to practice as a vocalist. Just because it's your voice, like you're putting everything out there. Like sometimes if I'm in the hotel room before a gig, like I feel uncomfortable just singing or warming up, knowing that somebody else is going to hear me and recognize, oh, that's somebody's voice. That's not an instrument that they put down. That's somebody's voice, and you will be judged accordingly if it sounds a mess. And as you're warming up, it's gonna sound a mess. So yeah, I always very interesting about that, but you do what you've got to do. And so I do a lot of practicing, and what my practice kind of looks like for this specific tour. It was, getting the sheet music. First of all, listening to the music, because the Big Band Holidays is a tradition and a series that has been long standing. And so I've been able to listen, because there are 2 records out from the live performances of Big Band Holidays through the years. So I've been able to listen to some of the songs that Chris and I agreed that I was going to perform. Listen to those and listen to how it was done. Listen earlier to versions that had been already recorded, the original recordings, and then learning the music for myself. So I first get the music, I hear the harmonies, I hear the melody, I learn that. Then I begin to put it into my body and see how it sounds, how my interpretation is and everything. And then from there, I do the rehearsals with the big band, and then I record my rehearsals with the big band. So I listen to what I've done, I hear what I like, I hear what they like, I hear what I didn't like, I hear what they didn't like. And from then, I just take all of those things and I begin to perfect, I begin to shape and sculpt things into what you will then hear us perform on the actual tour.
Nice. I would like to be at one of your rehearsals one day. See what it actually sounds like. I'm sure you sound great. So So, Big Bang Holidays is a tradition. What does it mean for you to be able to contribute to the legacy of this tradition?
Man, I remember when I got the call from Jason O'Lane at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and he said, "Hey, Cap, um, exciting news." And with him, it's always exciting news. And he said, I had, a conversation with Wynton Marsalis. We were at his house, and we were discussing vocalists for Big Band Holidays. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he said, we want you to be featured. This was 2023 that he gave me this call. He said, we want you to be featured in the 2024 edition of Big Band Holidays. And I was stuck. Like, for me, I am a very expressive person, but when I get very exciting news, I just shut down. And I began to cry. And the reason I began to cry is because in 2022, I was at like a jazz bar and club with one of my friends who is also in the orchestra this year, Chris Lewis. And we were talking about just my next steps. And I said, I want to do Big Band Holidays with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis. And he was like, you can do it. And I was like, well, I know that I can do it, but will I do it is the question. And the singer for the next year had been announced to be Ashley Pizzati. And I knew her. And I was like, man, like, I really want to be able to do it. And Samara Joy was doing it that year, 2022. And so I went to go see Samara Joy, a friend of mine. Great. I went to go see Ashley Pizzati the next year. And so when I got that call, it was just like, man, it felt like something I was able to manifest, not just through saying it. Like, when we talk about manifestation, people just think it's just something you say and then it happens. That's not how it works. Faith without works, faith without action, dead. It doesn't mean anything. You have to do something, put it in the air, and then work on it. And you'll be so blessed. You'll be so blessed. I think the manifestation, it's for yourself. It's not for the atmosphere. It's for yourself, to remind yourself that this is a goal that I'm working towards. This is something that once I put it out into the air, it's real. Now it's time for me to work on that reality. And so, yeah, I think that's what being a part of this series means to me. It means that the hard work has paid off, but it also means that my gift has made room for me. That's biblical. It also means that that there is a power, not powers, but there is a power that is working for me. And I'm so thankful to God for just ordering my steps, because I would be nowhere without him. So, yeah, this means so much to me. I'll spend the whole interview just talking about about my testimony, but it means so much to me. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like to manifest too. So let's do more manifesting. What are some of the things you want to do in the future?
Man. Ah, what is I actually one of the things I want to do in the future, like just speaking about the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, I do want to be, featured on an album with them. That would be great. I want to, speaking of albums, release my own album. That would be fantastic. I want to continue touring with my band. But most importantly, and we don't talk about this enough, not just being a successful musician, but I want to be able to make a livelihood with my career. When we speak of other fields, non-artistic fields, people are able to speak about livelihoods. But with music, it's always this struggle ideology that it's like, you can't, be married, you can't have kids, all this different kinds of stuff. All of those things I think are possible. It's just about what it is that you want in life. And for me, I want a full livelihood, whatever that looks like, to be able to balance my career and to be able to balance the values that my parents instilled in me, because I am West African, as well as being American, born in Washington, D.C. There are these values that I have of wanting to be a mother, wanting to be a wife, but also wanting to be a successful musician. And I believe by God's grace, all of those things will be possible. It just might not look the way that it looks for other people, and that's okay. So that's me manifesting. The next time you interview me, whenever that's going to be,
I
I'm
get
going
to
to
interview you again. Oh my God. Let me manifest that.
really, I'll be a step closer to that. So I also wanted to ask you, turning the table. So your last name Kwapo, are you Ghanaian?
I'm Liberian.
Liberian. Okay. Okay. Got you.
Yes.
Got you. Got you.
I too am West African. Yes.
Yes, I already knew that. I was just like, which country? But I got you now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm Liberian. So I grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I've been there since I was 8 years old. I was born in West Africa, but then moved to Detroit. But yeah.
Hmm.
So it's really great to connect. One final question is just like, I know jazz is always well, music in general is always changing, right?
Yeah.
How do and jazz is a specific type of music that has traditions and everything like that. How do you kind of keep the tradition of jazz, but also add your own self to it, your own uniqueness to the genre?
Yeah, I think one thing that there's so many ways to answer this question, but I want to hone in on one thing. The way that I like to keep the tradition is by listening. So keeping myself grounded in the great women of song that came before me really, really helps to just tether me to the tradition and the history of this music. So listening to Ma Rainey, listening to Jean Deshawn, listening to Ernestine Anderson, Bessie Smith, Mamie Smith, and then listening to modern artists who also keep that tradition. It helps to show me more modern ways of expressing that. Cecile McLaurin Salvant, Diane Reeves, Dee Dee Bridgewater, listening to all these sorts of women who are the tradition, who keep the tradition going, and then somebody like me of my own generation, like being able to express that. Man, it's just, I think that's how I keep the tradition alive, and then continuing to push it forward is the things like freedom, that women like Betty Carter and Abby Lincoln fought for, and we're able to usher in women like Diane Reeves and Dee Dee Bridgewater, excuse me, being able to start out their careers just a little bit more free, but they still had to do some work too. They make room for an artist like me to start out my career just a little bit more free. And truthfully, the fact that I am 25 years old, and I was like, 24 years old when I started touring, and I've been able to tour so many different countries with my band, to do so many different things with my band, to be able, I think I've worked one job maybe at City Winery in DC, but then I've been able to have an apartment, to pay my utilities, to do all these different kinds of things, to pay all my bills, and to be able to afford my wants by making music. That's the kind of freedom that they wanted for us, because the financial thing is deep. So these are the kinds of freedoms that they want for us, to know how to negotiate our contracts, to know how to walk into relationships with a label, with an agent, with a manager, with wisdom, and with knowing what they went through. That's how you keep the tradition alive. And that's how you continue to build new traditions of freedom and of wisdom and of hope. And so, yeah, we can speak about the music thing too, but like for me, I think that's what's really deep, being able to keep the tradition and grow it forward with freedom financially and musically.
Yeah. Awesome. I know I said that was the last question, but as you talk, you're so inspiring. I just have one more. You are such an inspiration. I know that future jazz musicians are going to look back at you and be so inspired, right? So, what advice would you give to someone who is really young right now, but is looking at jazz as you looked at it, as something that they might want to go into?
Yeah. I would say three simple words. It is possible. It is possible. I know it was very difficult for me growing up in a West African household with West African ideals very strong in the house. But then being American, being born in DC, grew up in PG County, I went to school. Barack Obama Elementary, like just being so immersed in Black American culture, there was like this push and this pull, the West African ideology saying artistic careers, not even just talking about music, artistic careers are not real. I get that, Americans do it, but where we are from, that stuff doesn't happen. People who go into artistic careers, they're broke. They're jokes. Nobody takes them seriously. I had to really, really fight, as well as my mom had to fight and believe in me to be able to say it is possible if you do it the right way. And the right way looked like not going behind my mom's back and, just, I don't know, entering into a competition, or, she, gives me money and I use it on something else, maybe to make beats and stuff like that. Some people do stuff like that. But for me, that transparency helped to be able to foster just this career that I have, having support from her, as well as situations where it's like, okay, I'm going to school for music to study this thing. I want to be able to have these resources. I don't want to be, studying biology when I know that if I am studying in jazz studies, that will be able to help to propel me. I want to be able to be honest with my family that this is a career that I really do want. And so being able to go about it the right way, being able to go about it through an academic way, my family was able to understand that. And so those sorts of things, working with your personnel and being able to go about things, whatever the right way looks like for your family, for your situation, for your culture. That's just like what it looked like for me. But that really did help me to be able to make this a possibility. And the last thing I would say is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, to speak some like negative and, for lack of a better words, in a spiritual sense, to speak death over your future, over your destiny, over your beliefs. I say this often, every chance I'm given. One of my uncles, who I love so dearly, he said to me in the most plainest terms, "You will never be a singer, but you see me today, I am a singer." I don't like to call myself like a singer, but I am singing. I am a singer. And that was because even though he spoke that death over me, the life from my community and the life that was in me was so much brighter than the statement that he made, which was just completely out of fear. And so knowing that it is possible, looking up to people in your community, not, if you don't know Beyonce, I'm so sorry. She shouldn't be one of your role models. If you don't know these celebrities, they shouldn't be your role models. Your role models should be in your community. Those are people you can touch. Those are people that actively and realistically and in relationship, close proximity, they show you and they remind you that your dreams are possible. So that's truthfully what I would say to the next generation of young artists, not just musicians, but of young artists. It is possible. And cling to and surround yourself with positivity and role models in your community that remind you that those things are possible.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. This has been such a gift to get to interview you. And I look forward to seeing you on December 3rd at the
Yes.
Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, the Big Band Holidays, everybody. It's the Big Band. Okay, it's at UC Davis Madiba Center, right?
Yes.
Madavi Center. So awesome. We will see you on December 3rd. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you guys there.
Oh, if you have socials, please tell us where we can find you to follow
Yes.
your work.
My manager would literally be screaming. I'm so bad with the social media thing, but yes. So my social media is Ekep Nkwelle, EKEP as in Paul, N as in Nancy, KWELLE, and that's on Facebook, That's on Instagram, that's on YouTube. You can find me everywhere at Ekep Nkwelle.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ekep. Have a wonderful day.